Yes.
Troy, Troy, are you in the room? Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
Debbie, we can start. Morning. Before I call this meeting to order, I will note for the record I will serve as the acting chair for today's meeting. I now call to order the meeting of the Bond Financing Committee members of the New York State Urban Development Corporation doing business as Empire State Development for Wednesday, November 30th, 2016. I'd like to note for the record that this meeting is being recorded for posting to ESD's website. The committee members have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. We welcome public comment on today's agenda item. To ensure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes each, and those representing groups may speak for up to 4 minutes, with one speaker per group. Speakers' comments may only address the item to be considered at today's meeting. At this time, I will ask the committee members whether anyone has a potential conflict of interest with respect to today's agenda item. If so, I will ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We would then remind you to recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to that item. Are there any conflicts? Hearing no conflicts, I will now ask Rob Godley to present today's agenda item, which relates to the issuance of state personal income tax revenue bonds. Rob?
Thank you and good morning. This morning, the committee is being asked to approve a resolution authorizing the sale and delivery of the New York State Urban Development Corporation Personal Income Tax Revenue Bonds, the Series 2016 B and C. As stated in the resolution, the committee, on behalf of the Urban Development Corporation or the corporation, is being asked to delegate the authority to certain officers and employees of the corporation to establish within certain parameters the final terms of the bond sale and to take all actions deemed necessary to accomplish the final sale and delivery of the bonds. The bonds will be issued pursuant to the New York State Personal Income Tax Revenue Bond Financing Program and will be secured by a pledge of financing agreement payments made from amounts legally required to be deposited into the Revenue Bond Tax Fund. The Public Authorities Control Board is expected to approve the issuance of these bonds within the next 2 weeks. Proceeds from the sale of the bonds will be used to finance certain state facilities, economic development activities, and certain other state-supported activities. The bonds are also being issued to refund certain debt previously issued by the corporation and one or more other authorized state issuers. The bonds will be issued on a competitive basis as fixed-rate, tax-exempt, and taxable bonds and will be offered through a single preliminary official statement, but will have separate notices of sale. In accordance with the attached resolution, the directors are requested to adopt the form of supplemental resolution, approve the form of the supplemental schedule, authorize the sale of the bonds on a public competitive basis pursuant to various documents connected with the sale and the delivery of the bonds, and authorize certain officers and employees of the corporation to take all actions deemed necessary to accomplish the final sale and the delivery of the bonds. Please note, by approving the Financing Committee resolution, you will be establishing a $1.85 billion amount as the aggregate maximum principal amount of the bonds that may be issued, establishing a maximum true interest cost of 7.5% for the tax-exempt bonds and 10% for the taxable bonds, delegating to certain officers and employees the power to determine the terms of the bonds within the parameters set forth therein, including but not limited to the final aggregate principal amount of the bonds, the principal amount of each series of the bonds, the principal amount of the bonds maturing in each year, and the final maturity dates, which shall not be longer or later than 30 years after the date of issuance for such bonds, and the interest rates to be borne by the bonds, and to make such changes to the related documents as he or she deems necessary and appropriate. And to give you a little background as to what the transaction looks like currently, And the numbers that I will be talking about right now are preliminary, and the numbers are subject to change, and these are approximate. Interest rates seem to be going up in the current days, so the refunding amount might diminish by the time we come to the pricing. But right now, the transaction size looks like it could be up to $1.6 billion, and will be composed of approximately 417 million tax-exempt bonds, 627 million taxable bonds, and 520 million refunding bonds. As I mentioned earlier, these bonds will be sold on a competitive basis, and we will be selling these in 5 tranches. The tax-exempt bonds will be sold in 3 separate tranches. There'll be first tranche will be maturities up to 10 years. The second tranche will be maturities from 10 to 20 years, and the third tranche will be maturities longer than 20 years. The taxable bonds will be sold in 2 tranches. One will be made up of maturities up to the year 2021, and the second tranche will be maturities greater than 2021. Right now, we are planning to price the bonds during the week of December 12th, and as in the past, we will email the board with the results of the pricing. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from committee members? Rob, I just have one question. What have rates done since the election in the public finance sector?
Yeah, we've seen rates go up approximately 15 basis points, and it could be depending upon the maturity. So rates have been going up, and as I said earlier, as the rates go up, the refunding criteria diminishes, so the refunding amount goes down. But rates, we have seen rates go up.
Any other questions from the committee? Are there any comments from the public? No? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Second? I assume you're seconding? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Thank you very much. The motion carries. There being no further business, I will call a motion for the meeting to adjourn. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Second? Thank you very much. The meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.